my vision then was to be the leading global brand for African packaged foods. And that vision was based on 3 principles: quality, reliability, innovation. Consistent quality in products, reliability in supply, not that it's available today, not available tomorrow. Finally, even if I achieve the first 2 and I become the leading global brand, if I do not innovate or reinvent myself, people coming behind will catch up and leave me behind. I'm engineer Olumuyiwa Oluwole Ayegusi, but because of my brand name, people popularly call me Olu. I'm in my mid-60s. I finished my secondary school at Iwobi College up to the A level. Went to US to study actually medicine. But somewhere along the line, I switched over to engineering. My dad was not too pleased with that, but I enjoy engineering because I like to work with my hands. I like to be creative. I like to do research. I came back into Nigeria after my master's degree in 1983. I was dreaming of working at NNPC then. But what I met on ground discouraged me. So I finally went to go and serve my youth corps at Federal Institute of Research Oshodi, popularly referred to as FIRO. And it was at FIRO that I got converted from petrochemical engineering into food processing engineering. And when I finished serving at FIRO in 1984, my immediate boss encouraged me to take up appointment with them. But being ignorant of the civil service procedure, I went to apply to start at level 14, and they laughed at me. They said, "You do not enter civil service at level 14. That discouraged me, so I just decided to, with my savings from youth corps then, 8,400, I decided to go into business to start producing what I encountered at FIRO, which was bottled palm wine. So with that meager amount, with no help from anybody, I started producing palm wine. And subsequently, ups and downs, business was not so good. I weathered it. Sometimes it was good or not, but the thing caught on, okay? And then I had investors came in who are older than me. And as typical of any or most Nigerian businesses, there was acrimony, there was backbiting, there was gossiping. And when the whole thing was getting dangerous for my life, I sent my wife to London, and I later joined her there. That was in 1987. So I started driving minicab, what you people call kabu here, after my master's degree. And I didn't find it difficult for me to do, because I believe in myself. I believe, and I'm focused. And I'm dedicated to whatever I want to pursue. And it was an irony because a year earlier, the Punch at The Guardian has written an article about me, that this is a future African young industrialist to look out for. But then the year after, I was on the streets of London driving minicab. And what pushed me to that was, I exported my first container of palm wine with a business partner based in London. But because of wrong labeling, the duty that was slammed on the container was almost 5 times the worth of the container. And the guy told me, "Look, Olu, you can't return back to Nigeria as we planned. You have to find a way to sit down here and sell this thing. Otherwise, we're going to lose money." So my wife bought me my first kabu car, and I started driving. So I would do kabu for 5 a.m. till about 10 a.m. rush hour. Then I would start selling palm wine to the stores, hawking it between that period. And it was during this time, one afternoon, as an Ekiti man, I felt tired of eating hamburger and all this hamburger. So I entered into one grocery store at Finsbury Park in London. wondering whether I could see pounded yam. When I got there, all I saw was ground rice, ground rice, ground rice. And I remember that I did a research during my youth corps at Firo. So I called home for the papers to be sent to me. And I dusted through the papers. I was trying to use solar dryer to dry yam chips to make pounded yam there. So I thought, well, maybe I should do pounded yam in London. Because they won't allow you to bring mortar and pestle to come and be pounding yam. Noise. So I went to the library during my easy hours. I started doing research. And during this time, I was turning my wife's kitchen to a dusty, dirty place. You know, when you're doing research, men don't learn how to take care of kitchen. And each time my wife will come home then and say, why is my kitchen dirty? I will make excuses. But I was trying to perfect this new product. I think after 4 months, I thought I got what I wanted. So I did samples and took it to my minicab office. I was the oldest person among them. The rest were younger than me. I was, I think, about 30 to 31. The others were about 23-year-old boys and girls. So I gave them the sample and said, a friend of mine from Nigeria bought this product. He wants me to be an agent. But I want you guys to go and try it and test it, whether it's good. They said, okay, sir. The next morning when I got to the office, minicab office, everybody was saying, Uncle Olu, I want to be your sub-agent. Uncle Olu, I want to be your sub-agent. I said, is the product that good? He said, wow, this is fantastic. It's unbelievable. I said, okay, I will talk to the guy. I got home that evening. I told my wife the same story. A friend of mine brought this from Nigeria and wants to also be the sub-agent. Can you prepare it and see whether it's good? She took the sample to the kitchen. I was in the sitting room, she was in the kitchen, and she was preparing it. And somewhere along the line, she said, "Dear, please phone your friend now. We are ready to be the agent." I said, "Is it that good?" He said, "No, this is going to make us a millionaire." I started laughing. And he said, "What's funny?" And I said, "You know, all those months you were complaining your kitchen was dirty. This is what I was trying to achieve. It's not a friend that brought it down. It was me." And she said, "Why did you say all this while I was a friend?" I said, "No, I've done so many business, ups and down, ups and down." I said, "The time will come when sometimes crisis of confidence will hit you. You are no longer sure of yourself." And so since I didn't want to make myself a laughing stock, I have to come up with a story. He said, "My dear, no story anymore. This is it." I said, "But there's one problem." He said, "What's the problem?" I said, "I don't want to do my product in an unbranded packaging." He said, "So I need to do a branded packaging." He said, "I go and do it now." I said, "I don't have enough money. You know, I'm doing minicab. You are the one that initially you bought the car for me, a cheap car or 80 pounds. You are the one that give me 5 pounds per week for lunch." That's how broke I was then. And then so I need 1,400 pounds to put this whole thing together. He said, "How much do you have?" I said, "I think I have 880 in my account, which I can release 800 of it." She said she has about 600 and something in her account that she can release 600. So we put those 600 and 800 together in 1988, May 10. And I went to go and pay for the packaging, got the deposit, and produced initial one to just give to the stores. While I was getting ready that if it sells, then I will come and start in Nigeria. And the funny thing was that even when I gave to the stores, I remember one particular store. He's a very good friend of ours now, Park Stroud Green. It's people that live in London would know the person I'm talking about. When I approached him and said, "Look, I have this new product," I could only give him 3 bags. When you say your production, only 3 bags. I said, "I have this product that is going to sell." Yeah. A lot of Nigerians working with products, all this. Go and dump it over there and come back. I dump it. Do you realize that for 1 week I was afraid to go and check whether he has sold or not? I'm still talking about crisis of confidence. That maybe it will not sell. Maybe we will not like it. But after 1 week, I just got the courage like, whether he's not selling, just go and check now. You won't die there. So I sneaked in. I didn't want him to see me because he stands by the cashier at the entrance. So I sneaked in to the shelf where they put the pounded yam and gari and ground rice, semovita. Those were the popular food then among Nigerians, whether in US or in Europe, ground rice or semo. So I sneaked in. I couldn't find the bag, 3 bags. So I saw the boy that is working there, the one that shelves product. I asked him quietly, please, I'm looking for pounded yam to buy. And he says, yeah, here's another one. That one doesn't look like pounded yam, but the guy wrote with pen, pounded yam. I said, no, there's one that somebody told me. It's like in a green and white something. Oh, he said that one is finished. We're expecting supply. Oh. Now my confidence just jumped up by 1,000 feet. So as I turned around to go and walk to him that my money for pounded yam, he himself saw me at a distance. He said, foolish man, come. I've been looking for you. Go and bring more pounded yam. Go and bring more pounded yam. I said, I should bring more. He said, go. I said, but how about the money for my 3 days? You are stupid. I will pay you for the 3. I will pay you for. I just ran out. That's the beginning of turnaround in my life in terms of business. I went with palm wine and I started making it with pounded yam. And then, of course, we started exporting to US. And I was the only one that was making this pounded yam anywhere then, available in Europe and US. And it was catching up. It got so big that I couldn't, with my workers alone, we couldn't do it anymore. So I asked my wife to resign at her job because she's an accountant. So at least she can take care of the financial and accounting part of it. And that's how the thing grew gradually. Only for me to find out that even some soldiers of, some wives of our Nigerian soldiers were importing it back to Nigeria from London. Those were the days when Nigerian Airways was still running. We find myself in one business or the other. And from there, people started saying, sir, if you can do this very well, you can do this. All right. Spilled beans. Fufu. Oh, yes. And plantain chips, and sweet potato, and palm oil. So I thank God today that we have operation in 4 continents of the world. We are present in Africa, obviously Nigeria. US, you'll find us. Europe, you'll find us. Whether Ukraine, Russia, Germany, or France. And we have operations also in South America. So that's how far my interest in value addition on agricultural produce has brought me. And I thank God. Well, the basic meaning of agriculture is the activity of clearing a land, sowing appropriate seed, and if need be, help the growth of that seed with organic or inorganic fertilizer, and pray for God to put rain on top of that product, or use irrigation to make sure that the seed germinates and it brings forth fruits, which at appropriate time you will harvest. And it could be corn, soya bean, cocoa, cassava, yam, sweet potato. Essentially, that's agriculture. But agriculture, as I explained now, going around the nation on workshop for an arm of government, Nigerian Export Promotion Council. Agriculture can be broken down into 3 sectors, at least the agri supply chain. We have the upstream, the midstream, and the downstream. The downstream is where our mothers operate, or even some men, in terms of a wholesale market, supermarket, retail market. The upstream is where the farmers do what I've just defined, the activities of the farmer. Fertilizer, plowing, clearing, sowing, harvest. The midstream is where we begin to transport those harvested products into the downstream, the wholesale market, whether from Boko to Lagos or from Nasarawa to Port Harcourt. And of course, involves packaging, processing. In general, the midstream is the value addition stream of the supply chain. The way it's practiced in Nigeria and Africa in general, we are way behind time. We are way behind time in terms of proper storage facilities, in terms of packaging of fruits, even in terms of harvesting appropriately. I've seen people that go and harvest vegetables at midday in the heat of the sun, which is wrong. Because vegetables are highly delicate. So they need to be harvested around cool time, like 5, 6, and then be ready to, within an hour or 2 hours, into the packaging processing center. So we're lacking behind in terms of that proper packaging. We are lacking behind in terms of proper transportation. You don't transport highly perishable items like yam, cassava, tomato inside a melter trailer, traveling for almost 2 days from the Northland to Lagos. Because if the vehicle breaks down along the way and you have to go and look for spare parts some miles away, the heat of the sun on the metal container of the lorry will semi-cook, parboil your tomato, onion, yam. You will probably lose, and we are losing almost 20 to 45, 50% of our produce after post-harvest. And it's costing us roughly about 3 trillion annually. So in the other climates, it's better stored, it's better transported, it's better packaged. And then even in the wholesale market, it's not put in heaps like they put heap of yam, 100 yams or 120 yams. Put it in heaps in open sun. I don't care whether the wholesale market is at Kaduna or at Port Harcourt or in Lagos. Everything is in the open sun. It still suffers a lot more. The way it's practiced in Nigeria is a far cry. And I'm sure the rest of Africa is the same. It's a far cry from the way it's practiced in better climes. Yeah. I thank God for one thing. When I was turned down at Firo for that job, simultaneously a thought came to me that unemployment situation will worsen in future in Nigeria or anywhere in the world. And I did not want to envisage a situation where I have to be begging job for my children. So I was bold. And I made a statement to myself, why can't I be a game changer? By creating wealth for my next generation. So thank God today, my children are grown up. I have one running the US operation. I have another 2 running the European operation. My wife is the MD of the Nigerian operation. And me now, at my age, they just put me on top of chair and say, sit down there, you are chairman. Means just sit down, they look. But they have to contact me occasionally for ideas, for input, for things like that. So that's the way things are run now. Well, I would say the initial challenge for me when I was starting, I think that's, we'll say about 36 years ago now, and it will always be the same challenge for anybody that wants to start up business, is capital financing or funding. Bank will not give you money if you are starting business because you have no history with the bank. And if you have collateral, well, you are lucky. But if you have none of those, you have to pull resources from friends, family, friends, relatives, to start. So I give you an example of myself and my wife again, right? That's one of the challenges. The other challenge is, especially in Nigeria, is our infrastructural deficiency. We don't have good roads to move produce from one source to the other. And so that increased the cost of production, obviously. Because the vehicles that will charge you will say, the diesel cost is this, or the repair is this. So therefore, the cost of that is there. Interestingly, another one is, let's take yam, for example, for making pando yam. I'm the first to ever make pando yam. So any pando yam you now see in the world, the credit goes to me, at least in terms of popularization. Don't let me say that. Uncle Ofi, he was a professor at the University of Ibadan. I was actually, simultaneously when he was doing that at Ibadan, I was doing mine at Firo then. But obviously he came up with the package first. But in terms of popularization of the concept of pando yam, I will say that goes to me. But what I'm saying is that if I'm a small starter, I know by normal economics of production, I should go to the farm gate to get my raw material. But because of lack of capital, I will resort to going to the open market or the wholesale market. And the danger in that is that there are certain species of yam that is good for making pando yam, to make it white. When I go to the open market and I say I want this type of yam, they will have put the right type in front of the heap and put the wrong one hidden. So by the time I take it to my factory, I'll find out that I'm producing some yams are brown, some are dark, some are white. That's danger. The honesty level between buyer and seller in Nigeria is very low. And of course, we have to talk of NEPA, almighty NEPA, isn't it? And because they have been irregular for ancient of days, you have to resort to generator. That increase your cost input. And then of course, you are transporting things from, I don't care whatever you're transporting to, whether even Ibadan to Lagos or Kaduna to Enugu. You see all these police checking points, which is for security, but they become a toll gate. And the transporter put those costs on you as a producer. All these things made the cost of production very high in Nigeria. Those are the major challenges. Apart from that, you can add security issues. Then for my operations in overseas, my first challenge that I learned a hard lesson was the first container of palm wine that I shipped in 1987. When it landed at the port, they charged me £14,000 for a product that was only worth £2,400 because of wrong labeling. In Nigeria, we are calling that palm wine Emu. People know Emu, okay? But because my overseas partner wants an English word that the average English can relate to, we put palm wine. This is not palm wine. It's just a fizzy palmy drink. So on that basis, the customs at the UK port said, oh, you are importing wine out of European Union. So we will charge you customs duty and custom tariff and excise duty. I have to start pleading and tell them that calling it palm wine is a misnomer. This thing is collected in the morning. It's draining in the morning. The guy goes in the afternoon to collect it and put another collection pot there. In between, what we call the wild yeast will have attacked it and it will start fermenting. It's not as if I fermented it for myself. They decreased the duty down and VAT down to about 8,000. And so because of that high price, the price we've told our customers that we're going to sell it change. And so the demand for it dropped. That's how I ended up being a kapu driver. in London. Well, Oluolu Industries Nigeria Limited, we started out as Oluolu Winery. And that time I had a shareholder from California and I have Nigerians. One of my shareholders, my uncle, has passed away now. But because of the acrimony that I referred to earlier on and backbiting and jealousy, pet jealousy, that company collapsed. It was then I registered Oluolu Industries. In fact, my intention then was just to be designing and fabricating machineries for industrial purposes. But somehow I got gravitated back towards food processing. So I went back again to my power processing. And so I learned a hard lesson then. I thought I learned a hard lesson. Can you believe also that when we started selling well in the US at one point in London, I formed another company called Afroplan Limited and brought out shareholders, mostly Nigerians, Again, I don't know what is wrong with us. That company had to go bankrupt. So I formed my company, Yem John Ventures in London, in UK. And then I started another company. I brought shareholders to the Oluolu industry in Nigeria again about 15 years ago. Again, noise, indecision, personal interest. So instead of allowing that one to collapse, I just decided I'll pay the directors off. Maybe it's not in my style to cooperate with Arsenal people. It will be me and my family. So the directors are now myself, my wife, and our children. And I've not had any headaches since that time. Whether the company in the US or the company in London or the company in Nigeria. Oh, definitely. In fact, that's what I'm doing for this. I'm a resource person to Nigerian Export Promotion Council on minimizing post-harvest losses through agro-processing of our agricultural produce. And I even go one step further to make it easier for undergraduates and retired civil servants. I've come up with a design which they urged me to come up with then as an engineer, whereby you practically don't need generator, you don't need NEPA to start processing agricultural produce. Because look, the main things we do with agricultural produce is to increase the shelf life, really. Because when you package this as pounded yam now, and it can be on the shelf for 9 months, I cannot put raw pounded yam into this bag and it will last for 3 days. So the essence of value addition is to minimize those losses along the agri-value supply chain. And in doing that, there are two principal ways that humanity has known to preserve or increase the shelf life of produce. Either removing water or what we call conditioning storage. Refrigeration is a conditioning storage, where if you open your tin of milk, you don't consume it, put it back in the fridge. If you cook stew and you can't, that's conditioning storage. And all you are doing is arresting the activity of bacteria, spoilage bacteria, what have you. The other way is to remove water. Okay? Whether you do cassava fufu, whether you do the kilishi, whether you do stockfish, bala, all you are doing is removing water so that it will not get spoiled. You will increase shelf life. So, and like I said, when I did my research and presented the paper to the agency of the government, we found out that we are losing almost 3 trillion on tomato. Can you believe Nigeria is the #1 producer of yam in the world, cassava in the world, taro, cocoyam, and I can go on, #1, #2, #1, share nut, share butter, share this. But you cannot find us in #1 to 20 in the export market. If you are #1 in something in the world, at least you should be noted internationally. Ghana is #1 in yam export. The yam that Ghana produces is not even up to, it's almost the same as just one state, Benue or Nasarawa. So, what's wrong with our youth when there's a 3 trillion naira opportunity? Although, let's salvage those wastage by just removing water from them. Either you dry onion, you dry tomato, or you dry pepper, or you dry ugu, or bitter leaves, or you can even dry fish to make stuffed fish, or you can smoke it. Why can't you dry cashew? Cashew is a silent gold mine. But you find the Asians taking our cashew raw from us to go and process in their own country. They even now go to the farm directly. Instead of using Nigerians to go for them, they are going now to go and get it cheap. Cornering our farmers and browbeating them on pricing. So, what are the youth looking for? I hear them tell me, oh, I'm into oil and gas, sir. Okay, so where's your company and how much oil are you lifting? Say, no, I'm working. Some of them even think working in petrol station is oil and gas. Some of them, I said, okay, what are you doing? Say, I'm a politician, sir. And I laugh, you're a politician. How many people will go to Abuja for senator? 109? How many people will go to, what do you call it? To National Assembly? 700, is it up to 700 something? We have millions of youths. It's either they want to be politicians, they are to oil and gas in their mind, or they are into Yahoo Yahoo. When there is 3 trillion, can you imagine, sir? Let's say the federal government come up with a policy and say, okay, we are losing this 3 trillion. Let's target to save in the next 5 years just 1 trillion out of those 3 trillion. And the federal government now calls on all the states and said, which state will be interested in partnering with us to get our youth engaged in saving these 3 trillion naira post-harvest losses? And let's assume only 10 states are interested. All right? So 10 states are interested. That means there's a potential of 10 billion, 100 billion per state. All right? And let each state go and look for 1,000 SME that they can incorporate into that program. That means each of those SME has a potential to turn over 1 billion. 100 billion divided, no, 100 million. Simple arithmetic. We are not saying they are going to achieve that immediately, but even turning over 10 million is a big deal to a guy that is going to roam the street. This is potential for our youth or intending retired civil servant. So the dryer that I invented is a commercial solar dryer. There is one called the farm gate one that you can move around and be a dryer contractor. I can come to your farm and dry your corn. I can go to our farm and dry our sesame seed. I can go to this one's farm and dry our cashew. That's business. Or even myself, I can dry onion and turn it to onion powder. Why are youth saying there is no opportunity? You can export yam if you do it appropriately. You can pack, my biggest making money is on plantain chips. What's the big deal about frying plantain? You peel the plantain, you slice it, you put inside frying oil, and you pack it. You find this in 4 continents of the world. And I'm still talking about the midstream, the value addition to the midstream. Because that's where you create wealth for yourself and for the next generation. I've never been a farmer. Although I own farms now, I go to inspect. But as a young engineer, without taking that job at Firo, I just went to the midstream of agri supply chain. And I started adding value. Adding value is simply adding process, changing from one form to the other. And God has blessed me and my family through that. And I started as a youth. I don't know what our youth are waiting for. when I first started, like I said, I started with palm wine, bottling palm wine. The bottle is like your beer bottle, your star beer bottle, because you have to start from something that is readily available. I used to collect those bottles from beer parlor and go and rewash and bottle. And that has been what is being used for the last 20 or 25 years. And I decided about 7 years ago that everybody just keep on doing this, and the bottles were getting scarcer. And then the beer company were putting their logo on some bottles now that you cannot find anywhere. You must not use them anymore. Then it occurred to me that if I can see canned Coca-Cola or canned malt, why can't we see canned palm wine? So our company became the first to can palm wine. And when it was about to start selling very well, the CBN came with a policy, I think about 5 years ago, that can was one of the 40 prohibited items on the prohibited list. There are some policies that government put in place without taking cognizance of the needs of the small producers. And I've had experience of where I was canning egusi, moi moi, jollof rice in 2004. And I went to go and pay for can at Kano Metal Box, and the cans were not good. And it spoiled my whole product. I was in court for 3 years with minimum payment back as damages. So we had to import cans into can, and people were beginning to like it. That policy came in, just killed that idea. And when I went to a company that is making can in Agbara, the minimum they want me to do is 1.5 million cans at the rate of 30 something. So I first of all have to go and look for 45 million naira just to produce cans alone. Which small company can do that? These are things that federal government should say, okay, if you are importing this item for more than this volume, it's not allowed, or you will not qualify for foreign exchange. But for a starter who wants to import maybe 10,000 or 100,000, that is nothing. Why can't they encourage them? Because the experience they will gain there, the money they will make, can allow them now to go and buy bigger volume of cans when they have the funds. So that policy killed that. And so 2 years ago, I finished my research, and again now, we are the first to now can this same palm wine in now PET bottle anywhere in the world. That's the same palm wine that my first product in 1984 now is available in PET bottle. We've started exporting. We're going to make it available in Nigeria very soon. After that, the next thing was the pounded yam. I told you the story that we experimented in, I experimented in my wife's kitchen for in 1988. And then people saying, can't you do something else? We came up with cassava flour, fufu. There are so many companies making cassava fufu now. I will tell you something. Before I came with the concept of pounded yam, what people call pando yam now, in 1988, the popular food among Nigerians in diaspora was what we call gira, and gira is just like ground rice or semo. Olu changed diet, and is the swallow habit of Nigerians in the whole world and some Africans. Now you have so many brands of pando yam. Ayola, Mimi, this, that. But they all recognize that I was the pioneer, the pace setter, and the concept. Fufu came in, and then I came in around 1996 with the concept of peel beans. I see people when they want to make akara, they have to soak the beans overnight, and then that's too laborious, especially in overseas. Again, all this thing came to me because I was living abroad then. That if you're a caterer, you want to do moment for a party. Imagine the wahala of the trouble of soaking and then peeling your hand. So, came up with the concept of peel beans, whereby within 15 minutes you can start making your moi moi. Then later on, I think around 2004, that I was satisfied that my normal African foods has been popular, everybody is recognizing it. I thought of taking money from the pocket of the Europeans. They will not eat pounded yam, they will not eat fufu, probably they will not. They loved dodo and jollof rice, right? So I came up with canned jollof rice, canned moimoi, canned egusi stew. Yes. We started producing in 2000. And the plant was well set up in Nigeria. But by 2002, there was mad cow disease. And so European Union and especially UK banned poultry or meat products coming to European Union. And you cannot make a egusi stew without some shower now. You cannot make a moimoi without some things inside. The shower we use and some of this we use, if we stop it, people will say, it's blank, it doesn't have anything. So that was what also killed the concept of those canned food. But we are coming back with those now again. So the concept therefore was to take money from Europeans. And I realized that the first thing that I can get them for them to recognize about me, they like snacks, like potato chips, all right, crisps, or granite, or things like that. So I thought of plantain chips. So I came up with the concept of plantain chips by 2004-05, and it has caught on with wildfire, all right, in overseas. We export container every week. Yeah. And recently, we've just added sweet potato to it because Nigeria has a lot of sweet potato. And we thank God because my vision then was to build the leading global brand for African packaged foods. And that vision was based on 3 principles: quality, reliability, innovation. Consistent quality in products, reliability in supply, not that it's available today, not available tomorrow. Finally, even if I achieve the first 2 and I become the leading global brand, if I do not innovate or reinvent myself, people coming behind will catch up and leave me behind. So we keep on innovating and reinventing, either by product or by packaging or by combination of both, to make sure that we at least are among the top brands. So, and that's what my children have not latched onto now, that they are carrying on. And because I introduced them to the business when they were young, I wanted them to go and play on Saturday. No, don't go and play. Oh, yeah, go to the factory. Go and see how we are producing. They were not happy. They complained. But thank God today, they've now appreciated what they have. Because they've seen it, they were exposed to it earlier on. It didn't become strange to them. Thank you. I encountered this during my workshop all over the country. Maybe out of ignorance or for whatever reason, once a typical Nigerian or African hears preservative, they panic. Chemical, preservative. It's going to kill me, it's going to kill me. And I explain it every time I have the opportunity that we forget that even we human beings, we are biochemical. Most of these people that are afraid of chemical, preservative. Do they know that the salt you put in your soup is chemical, sodium chloride? The sand you step on is a chemical, silica. Your body is actually formed mostly through protein. You only need carbohydrate for the energy to breathe. The starting block of protein is NH, which are chemical. There's nothing wrong with chemical. I'm hearing some people now say, chemical fertilizer, inorganic fertilizer, organic fertilizer. That's why we have the World Health Organization, WHO. And their agencies, and even federal government, some agencies of government internationally and locally, have set standards of chemicals you must use. After all, is it water that we use to spray our farm produce to prevent insects or something? Is it not chemical? Do you therefore stop drinking orange or eating watermelon or stop eating cassava? Why do you say, chemical? Because there are measured amount of chemicals you must use per so much kilo or per so much volume of something. If you use it within that context, there's nothing wrong with chemical. All right? Once you use it to the permissible level, is when you overuse it that chemical becomes a problem to the consumer. And WHO has set the standards. If your wife over puts salt in your soup, will you be able to eat it? It's the same thing. There's nothing wrong with salt in soup. In fact, if it's not there, you say, this soup is not sweet. So once you put it in the right amount, it is good. I've seen it grow. Some farmers will say, maybe the more chemical fertilizer I put on this, my yam, it will grow bigger. I want my yam to be big. It's going to spoil the yam. So there's nothing wrong with chemical. And they are necessary in giving us fresh produce. Because some produce will last 6 months, 9 months, 1 year. I want them to feel as fresh as when they were made. Those chemicals, the amount has been given to us to use as permissible. And we fumigate our premises now. At least industrially, you're supposed to fumigate. Even my street here, we have a fumigation company that comes. We call it derating. And when you fumigate, you see cockroaches running around. You forget that those things also disperse into the air, you breathe them. But we know that the residual amount of that in the air will not be injurious to us. Unless you are a green person that wants perfect environment and, I don't want that. And I don't mind those people who feel like green environment, everything must be perfect, there must be no CO2 emission, there must not be this, there must not be inorganic fertilizer. That's their own passion. But one thing I know, and I can tell them, is this. With the world population almost exploding, if you are going to go green, 1/3 of the population will die. Because we won't be able to produce enough food for them. If you are going to go on all these perfect, organic, no this, no that, we won't be able to produce enough food for food security for everybody. That's the fact of life. So there's nothing wrong with chemical. Yes, some of the products need chemical to be added. Some don't. For the freshness to prevent spoilage during the storage period. But they must be used according to WHO permissible quantity. Thank you. I cannot tell you of my dream, but it depends on the aspiration, the vision, and the tenacity of the new operators. Because I would not be running it then. My dream would be that it will still be one of the leading global brands of packaged African foods. My dream is that it will be financially stable, buoyant, that it can fulfill its social responsibility. And of course, we know what that social responsibility is. When a company as such is very buoyant and is healthy, it can decide to sponsor Green Eagles. It can decide to go and give gifts at motherless homes. It can decide to give scholarship. Those are social responsibilities, giving back to society that has given something back to you. Those are my dreams. I hope, I pray I'll be alive as an old man, maybe not all my truth gone. and just sitting down and looking at the new operators then, who will be men and women of caliber, and just looking back and smiling. And I hope God grants my wish. Mentorship in itself is not even necessarily about finance. It is about giving information to somebody coming up so that they do not repeat the mistake you have made 10 years, 5 years ago. Let them make a new mistake. That is even bigger than money. I can give you 1 million, but don't have an idea what you're doing, and you go and flaunt that money, the 1 million is gone. But I'll give you an advice or a way to tackle a problem, and it can save you more than 1 million. So we should not confuse mentorship with aid. Giving somebody money is aid. That's not mentorship. Giving money can be mentoring, but it goes beyond that. When I had time, I was a mentor at Tony Olumelu Foundation, but I've asked for a break just to catch myself. Since I've been doing this program with the Nigerian Export Promotion Council in the last 6 years, I've encountered individuals, young ones, that needed help. I cannot help everybody, obviously, because if you try to help everybody, you become poor in the process. But there are few that I've helped set up in Benue, in Ilorin, in other places. But there's a limit to my cash generosity. But there are lots more, old, young, that come back to me. Excuse me, sir, I want to do this. And I say, don't do it that way. If you do it that way, you will not make money. Do it this way. That's more than money. All right? And that there are many more like that. Up to today, I'm still getting calls from all over the nation. How we can do it. That's mentorship. And I'm doing that. But don't forget now, mid-60s, I'm at the retirement mode. I don't have access to cash when I was running company. Because the new operators, the MDs, the general managers will not allow me to even touch the money anymore. So I'm a pensioner now. My first hope is that if people realize the opportunity that lies in there, just like I did when I was young, if I had the mentorship that they are having now from me or from other people, maybe I would have gone further than this. So there's hope. I've told you about 3 trillion getting lost. If I can operate something that can bring me 100 million, even 50 million for a start, my community will notice that I'm different. The kind of clothes I'll be wearing will be different. Yes. And then I'll be able to employ people to operate at my factory. So the payment I give them will affect their family and the community. And then the payee that the local government or state government comes to collect will increase the IGR of that community. Therefore, I'm developing that community. There's hope. There's hope in 3 trillion. We just need to be bold. Have clarity of purpose. And the government is trying. Most Nigerians are ignorant of the fact that there are funds that this government is making available through CBN and other sources, Bank of Industry, BOI, Bank of Agri. I know people who say, oh, the requirements of the bank and this and that. Apply first. Don't just sit there and say, oh, they won't give you. Already they have negative mind. No, they won't give you. They will ask for this after that. There are different categories of grants and funding that the federal government is putting in place that young people can latch onto and start something. I know it's not easy because I've been through it. But don't give up so easily and say, no, it won't happen. They won't give you. Whether it's on rice milling, whether it's on cassava program, whether on Fadama, sometimes it's not even giving you money. They may say, let me come and clear your land for you. instead of this hoeing. Do you know how much it will cost you to go and rent a tractor to clear that? That's got you going. So, but what I notice is that when I go around is that people expect government to give them money. Give them money. They don't want you to give them the equipment. They don't want you to give them the seed. Give me money. And when you give them money, whether through microfinance or something, the first thing is to go and marry extra wife or to go and buy a car or buy Okada. And government have learned that this money is being pilfered away. So the only way you can get it now is we buy something and give you. So there is hope. There's money. But people, young people especially, should start seeing problems and challenges. They should start seeing opportunities and challenges. I know a lot of opportunities that is cracking in my brain. But I can only share it appropriately at appropriate places. So there's hope. I know how much millionaires they have created in Kebbi and Sokoto in the last 4 years on rice, among the rice farmers. Now we are beginning to appreciate our own rice, yes? Do you know how many millionaire young people will make from cashew nuts? I'm telling you. And I can go on and on. Because the way to go is to create wealth. And you can only create wealth by adding value to your gift. If you sell 1 kilo of cassava every day and I sell 1 kilo of cassava, making 15 naira, you are not richer than me. We are both equally okay. But it takes 3 kilo of cassava, which is 3 days, to make 1 kilo of cassava flour, which government has said you must add to confectionery flour now. You know, it's a policy. So if for 3 days you are going to the market to sell cassava, 15 naira, at the end of 3 days you make 150 naira. I will sell my 1 kilo of cassava flour after 3 days for at least 400 naira. Who is richer? Thank you, my brother. That's the also. In closing, therefore, I will say this. You may be comfortable working for others, but you can never be rich or worthy working for others. Who is Dangote working for? Himself. Who is Bill Gates working for? Himself. If you want to live a comfortable life, get salary, maybe rent a house or build a bungalow, send your children to good schools, it's okay. And eat 3 square meals, it's okay. But one day they will ask you to retire from their job and employ somebody else. Abi? Who is going to ask Dangote to retire? It's his business. Unless it's just for health reasons, he wants to step aside. Or Bill Gates. So, you may be comfortable buying a car, putting petrol, buying diesel for a generator, sending your children to school. But you're not worthy. Depending on your level of ambition, you're not worthy. Because there are 3 types of wealth most people don't realize. There's material wealth, there's time wealth, and there's philanthropic wealth. When you're working for yourself, number 1, you wake up when you want to wake up. You don't wake up at 5 a.m. because of traffic. You must report a job at 10. I wake up when I want to wake up. I will sleep when I want to sleep because I'm thinking of my business. So I'm worthy in time. I'm not at anybody's beck and call. I know how to organize myself to be a successful businessman. So my time is in my hand, not in anybody's hand. That's being worthy in time. And if I draw my business properly, I'll be wealthy in terms of material. That means cash flow. Yeah? And when I'm worthy in both of those things I've talked about, I'll be worthy in giving to others. Philanthropy. You see Bill Gates going around, he's doing polio vaccination free in the northern states. He's giving something free in Kenya. He's giving something free in India. That's philanthropy, giving. It's because he's worthy in time and in material. He doesn't have to report in any office. He will be in India. I will be listening to the speech he wants to listen to. He will not be looking at time, maybe for business. I can give my time because I have the time, and I can give material because I have the material. Those are the three types of wealth. Thank you very much. My name is Engineer Olumuyiwa Olu Ayegusi, popularly known as Olu among my well-known people. The African Plus TV network online is doing a good job promoting the economic and business interests of Nigeria, particularly, and Africa as a whole, through impacting the youth in making accessible to them information, timely information, whether in agriculture or other kind of businesses. They're doing a good job, and kudos to them. Let's encourage them by patronizing them so they can do more. I wish African TV network a successful operation years to come. Thank you.